Hey friends, an exciting opportunity has presented itself during our season here at the ranch.
Carpenter, carpenter, won't you build yourself one true and straight where our children may grow.
So there's a gentleman in Washington, his name is Dave, and he's a retired FBI investigator, and he started something called the
Lost Apple Project.
And what Dave is doing with the Lost Apple Project is mapping heirloom and homestead varieties of apples in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Washington and Oregon.
People often ask me, why do you look for these apples? And I tell them that I have been concerned that if I don't look for them, no one else will, and these varieties could be lost forever.
All these homesteaders came from the East Coast, and they brought all these varieties. As they went, they would plant these apple trees. And obviously they're gone now, and the apple trees have survived.
Right.
So we're talking 150 to 200-year-old apple varieties that we don't even know what they are. And some of them are on the verge of dying, and we need to save them, as many as we can.
Right, and complete our record. And so 2 years ago, while poking around online, Katie found out about the Lost Apple Project, kind of tucked it away in the back of her mind, and fast forward 2 years, we're here at the ranch. Well, what Dave wants these old varieties of apples, and lo and behold, we're sitting on property with an orchard from about 1860 to 1865, as best as we can tell. So that's when the homestead grants were issued in California, and sadly, that's also when the last of the Northern California Aboriginal people were driven off the land. So these trees probably date from 1865. So Katie reached out to Dave, and what we've been doing is cataloging the orchard. So we took drone photos and overlaid it with a visual map, if you will, in Photoshop. So we have each tree identified. We're making brass tags. And what's really cool is when the apples come into season individually, we collect them, refrigerate them, and then we will, as a collection, mail them to a gentleman in Oregon that identifies them. So that's kind of where we are right now in the process. Is we're cataloging the trees, and the end goal for the whole Lost Apple Project, like we said, was to identify the trees, but they also come out and take cuttings in the late winter, early spring in order to preserve the varieties in perpetuity. And then Dave supports his project by selling these heirloom apple varieties. And parallel to that is our desire to take cuttings of our own and take the ranch orchard with us.
Wherever we go.
Wherever we go. We don't know where that's going to be. We don't know when that's going to be. But for the foreseeable future, we'll be able to come back and take cuttings and really kind of have the ranch with us, which is super exciting. To the ends that we actually propagated black walnut trees from walnuts in the front yard, so we can take those with us as well. So the scope of the Lost Apple Project is so big, Dave relies on people that come across apples that have them on their property.
And if we don't do this, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be lost to history, and we're not gonna have them.
And that's what's really at stake with not participating in this is no one's gonna know what the varieties here at the ranch are, and
a lot of them are dying.
They could be lost. For instance, there are trees that have been pushed over by bears and still
this is
keep
one
going.
right behind us.
Yes.
I mean, you can see. So here is. This is the tree we're right behind.
And it's covered in fruit.
It's still covered in fruit. It's still growing. It's rooted along the trunk.
That's how we fit in all of this. We're trying to help Dave meet his goal. I explained to Katie, I go, this isn't about us. Dave is Frodo, and we're just Merry and Pippin over here. Pippin, apple variety. Anyways, little apple humor.
So one of the things I was always told as a child were these apples were just crab apples. They're not worth anything. The pears, they're not worth anything. The plums are just wild plums. They're not worth anything. What we've discovered...
The family was wrong.
The family was wrong. What we've discovered is there's actually these amazing, large, really good eating apples in this orchard that taste like apples. Like really taste like apples. And
so when they're licking the stickers in Willy Wonka and the schnozberries taste like schnozberries, the apples here taste like apples.
I got a plum. Grandpa, this banana's fantastic.
They're not just sweet, sugary apples you buy at the grocery store. They're not Honeycrisp. They're not Fuji. They're not those engineered varieties. These are like just appley apples. The applest. The most apple-like apples you'll probably ever have. Yeah. There's one we took a bite out of and we're like, oh, Jolly Rancher. It tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
Can you help me get an apple?
When we're done.
Okay, thanks.
One actually, like, it was a red one, and it has really white flesh, and it just needs like 1 or 2 more weeks until it's ready, but it's already tastes really good. So we can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the very end, like, we know we have 29 apple trees. I never knew how many there were, but we've discovered the ones we want. Unfortunately, because of the fire, there was fruit on them 3 weeks ago. And when we evacuated, we lost 2 weeks, and that's probably when we should have been picking them. So there's a few apple trees. There's probably 5 or 7 of them that don't have apples on them. So we may just eventually just take cuttings and we'll just put them as mystery apples, and they'll be like a mystery tree.
We can always cider them, right?
So we'll do that.
Apple juice and champagne yeast.
They're amazing apples.
They are.
And it's really sad that it took us this long.
Well, and so that's one of the neat things. Katie grew up coming here. The property has been in the family for 1914. So 106 years. And this isn't an indictment on the family by any means. It's an awesome family that have preserved this, but it's, I think, a good example of familiarity breeding contempt. The apple orchard's always been up here. And
kind of take it for granted.
Right, and my mother-in-law and her siblings probably came up here as children, but they you grow up and you get busy with life and you move on, and so in a way, in no small way, we're rediscovering these super awesome pioneer treasures that the ranch has always held. And that's the joy of it. I mean, gosh, we made fig jam out of the front yard fig tree. We made what do we call it? Mélange de trois.
Yeah.
A 3-berry blend: raspberries, black caps, which are wild raspberries, and then blackberries, and then we've made applesauce from the ranch apples. So when we leave at the end of the summer, we're gonna have these culinary homesteading treasures,
like a little souvenirs on the road that will remind us of this amazing year.
So it's been incredible, and in no small way, the Lost Apple Project has really pushed us in the direction of rediscovering and recapitalizing on these homestead resources that are here. And it's super awesome, and we look forward to Dave hopefully getting something of value out of this, and maybe they're just common varieties from 160 years ago, but if that's the case, well, then we'll enjoy them.
What on earth?
There appear to be like aphids in it or something.
Or ants.
Yeah.
Or it could be a mutant apple that comes from the 5th moon of Jupiter to set to eat everyone on Earth.
Oh yeah?
And then the aliens can attack and destroy Earth.
Well, that escalated kind of quick.